Okay guys, so you're probably at the stage where you are outlining or beginning to use your black ink pen. So I did only get to do one section of my map, and I'm going to demonstrate on that section how to do it. So this is a thin Sharpie pen. It's actually even more fine than a regular fine print Sharpie. This is a fine print, and this is fine point, I'm sorry, and this is an extra fine point, okay? There are other kinds of ink pens you can use. You can see this one's just like slightly thicker. There are something called microns, which you can get at a Michael's or art supply store like that. If you're into art, you may already have something like that. And then there are also brush tip pens. Some of you may have something like that at home. And those are cool because you can get a very fine point, or you can press down and get a thicker point. Okay? You are going to need something like one of these for this part of the assignment. If you do not have that, you can come to the school and pick it up, and I can give you time to catch up. Or you can go to Staples, has an arrangement of stuff like this, and of course, you know, any art supply store like Michael's. Also, maybe even Walgreens has a black ink pen. It might not be a Sharpie brand or Micron. It could say Uniball. That's another popular brand, but that's a black ink pen. All right, so I'm gonna just use this fine tip right now, and I'm putting a piece of paper under my hand so that when I draw, I'm not smudging the other pencil. Okay, so right now when you're outlining, you know, you want to remember that your outline is permanent. So once you put your outline in, that's not something you can erase. So you want to be extra careful. You know, this is kind of like you've done the hard part of sketching things out. So this is sort of the, you know, can be relaxing part. It can feel a little overwhelming too if you have a lot of stuff here. So, you know, you might want to do this in sections, you know, in your class time. You do it for your half hour of work time and then put it away. Okay, so what I wanted to show you wasn't just about what type of pen or to outline, but I also want to show you about shading. So one of the things that gives your pen and ink drawing a little bit of, let's say, pizzazz, or makes it look a little bit more sophisticated, is doing some hatching. And hatching is a technique that is creating shadow by putting a bunch of lines together. And there's actually a handout in your PowerPoint. There's a handout on how to do it. So if you're shading something that's circular, like this paint can, which I'm about to do, you want to try to make your hatching lines go along the curve of what you're hatching. Okay, so you try to use the shadow lines, and if I wanted to make the hatching darker, I could cross them like that. Okay, and you know, when you're doing that, you also want to you know, go nice and slow. And here's just a few little, oops. If you're not confident, you can always try in pencil, and then you can go back later and you'll put them in with pen and ink. So how do you know? Because everything here is imagined, whereas if you were looking at something and trying to draw it, you would be able to see where the light and the shadows fell. So one question a lot of people have is, how do you know where to do your shadowing? Well, in this case, you're just kind of guessing. That's the answer. So you want to put it where you think that it might be darker. So for instance, if I'm looking at a paint can, I'm thinking the outside of the paint can might be a little bit lighter and the inside might be a little bit darker. And I'm going to put the words. That's Cobalt is what I'm writing. That's my favorite color, blue. Okay? The other thing that you want to do when you're drawing is you want to try to make sure that you have all of your lines meet. So when you erase later on, and you should wait till it dries, but when you erase later on, sometimes you forget to outline everything in total. So you might want to just go back and give it a, once over after you erase the pencil lines to see if you missed anything with your pen. All right, so one more thing I wanted to show you was that if you had two different kinds of pens, you could also try different sizes. So if you had something like this, you could make some lines more dark, and that could give them a little bit of an emphasis. Having some lines darker and some lines thinner. All right, you are going to add color to it, so you don't have to go too crazy. And if you're not confident with shading, you can just do a little bit here or there. That's fine. But I just wanted you to have kind of a base of how to get started with that. So this week we're going to be adding our outlining and adding our shading. And then when we're ready, we'll start to add a color pencil to that. Okay? So happy drawing!